Hey there, this is Shruti, and in today's video, I'm sharing with you how to start a blog that actually makes money. Now, you're probably aware that most bloggers don't make any money in the lifetime of their blog, and I want to make this video to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. Step number one is to pick a profitable niche. Now, have you ever noticed that there are some bloggers in certain niches that always tend to make more money than bloggers in other niches? Now, this isn't really a coincidence. When you think about picking a niche, you really want to think about how much demand there exists in that particular niche. Now, this really goes back to Economics 101. The more demand there is for a product compared to the supply of the product, the higher the price of that particular product. The same is true for your blog niche as well. So depending on how much demand there exists for your blogging niche, there will be more opportunities for you to actually make money from that niche later down the line, and this is what you want to keep in mind when you pick a niche in the first place. Now, when deciding on your blog niche, there are two things that you need to keep in mind. The first thing that you need to keep in mind is whether or not this is something that you're passionate about. So the niche that you pick could be something that you already have experience in or something that you actively want to learn more about. The second thing to keep in mind is to have something that is actually profitable. Now, there are lots of things that you might be passionate about in the world, but that doesn't necessarily make it a profitable niche. The easiest way for you to identify whether a niche is profitable or not is to simply search for bigger bloggers or influencers who've been around for a while and to see if any of them has been able to make a full-time living or a business out of it. If there are lots of bloggers in a certain niche which have been able to take their blog full-time, then that means there is a high demand for this niche and it is a profitable niche to be in. Now, to make things easier for you, I actually want to give you the 7 niches which are the most profitable niches. The first niche that is profitable is the food niche. The second niche that is profitable is the health niche. The third niche which is also profitable is fashion and lifestyle. The fourth niche which is also profitable is beauty. The fifth niche that is profitable is personal finance. Next, we have personal development, and the seventh niche is marketing. Now, keep in mind, these are not the only niches that are profitable. Of course, there are lots of other niches that are also profitable, but these are some of the niches which have the highest demand, which means it might be relatively easier for you to make money blogging in these niches versus if you were to start in another niche. Step number 2 is to decide your blog name. Now, in general, the blog name isn't extremely important when it comes to determining the success of your blog. However, this is going to be the long-term brand that you put out there, especially if you plan to be a personal brand blogger. Now, this means that you have to keep a couple of things in mind when you actually pick your blog name. The first thing to keep in mind is that it should be long-lasting. So you don't want to narrow yourself or box yourself in a niche that is going to outgrow you. The first blog that I started was called Indian Girl in Germany, and it was supposed to be an expat blog. But when I really wanted to pivot my content to a more general travel blog, I wasn't able to do it because the name was called Indian Girl in Germany. Now, that can be really beneficial for you if you decide that you want to blog about a certain location or a certain product forever, but chances are that as you grow as a blogger, you might have a couple of pivots and you might change what the direction of your brand looks like. So you want to make sure that your niche is broad enough so it actually gives you a little bit of freedom to move around and to change the main topic of your blog without being completely irrelevant. Which gets me to the second thing that you need to keep in mind, which is the relevance. Now, relevance might not sound very important to you at the beginning, and you might just want to create a blog name which is a complete abstract name. However, when it comes to the long run and to the searchability as well as discoverability of your blogs, especially on search engines like Google, it can be really beneficial for you to have a blog name that is highly relevant to your niche and is highly relevant to what you represent on your blog. Think about it. If you want to have a travel blog, are you more likely to show up in search results when your name is something like Travel Adventures, or are you going to show up when your name is something like Unicorn? Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be creative about your blog name. You definitely can be creative about your blog name. However, keep in mind that it is still somewhat relevant to the brand that you're trying to build through your blog. You also want to make sure that your blog name is actually something memorable and that people can easily remember when they're referring to your particular expertise or your particular niche. Another important thing to keep in mind when you are picking out a blog name is to see if that username is available on social media channels. Now, in former times, you could have a blog which was just a standalone blog without any social media platforms to go with it. However, things have changed. You likely would want to check if your blog name is also available on Facebook or Instagram, on Pinterest, on Twitter, etc., so that you can actually go and save those blog names. So at this step, when you're deciding your blog name, make sure to go and save those usernames in all of these social media channels so that you can ensure that you have a safe place for your brand in the long run on social media. Step number 3 is to get a host and a domain. Now, the way to think about a host is basically where you house your blog. So for example, if you were building a house, you would need to put it on a certain piece of land. This piece of land is the host that we're talking about when it comes to your blog. The second thing that you also need is a domain or a URL, which essentially specifies your blog name. So for example, my blog domains are indiangirling.com as well as digitalempires.co. Now, there are two ways of going about picking the right host for your blog. The first way, which is the easier but more expensive way, is to pick a platform like Wix, Squarespace or WordPress.com to build your blog on and then pay them a monthly or an annual fees to host your blog for you. The second way for you to host your blog is a little bit more difficult, but is definitely the cheaper and the better option to do in the long run. This option includes you actually picking up a self-host such as HostGator on your blog and then mixing that with WordPress.org, which is an open source backend software which also runs as the content management solution for you. WordPress.org is essentially what you would need to actually create the blog posts and put them out there. Even though you do need to pay a small amount for your host, WordPress.org is entirely free, and all you need to do is get a hosting plan which is self-hosted and then download WordPress.org, and then you're good to go to actually start creating content. Now, one very important thing to keep in mind is that WordPress.com is different from WordPress.org. WordPress.com is similar to Wix and Squarespace, which host your website for you, whereas WordPress.org is an open source software that actually just helps you run your website and is a content management tool. When I first started out blogging, I actually started out on WordPress.com and I thought it was what I was supposed to do. It was only after a year that I realized that I was on the wrong platform all along, and I actually couldn't monetize my blog by being on that platform because it was really restricted and it was not customizable at all, not to mention it was costing me a lot more than what it would cost me to actually be self-hosted. So for my second blog, I actually picked a self-host and then added WordPress.org on top of it to make sure that I had the best foundation to monetize my blog in the long run. Now, if you're interested in getting a cheap and reliable option for your hosting as well as get a free domain, you can check out the link in the description box below, where I've partnered up with HostGator to give you up to 60% off on your hosting plan. Step number 4 is to decide a theme. So if your host is the land that your house is built on and your domain is the exact address of your particular house, think of your theme as the interior design of the house. So the first time that people interact with your blog or your website, what is the kind of design that they would see on your website? That is your blog theme. The good news is that when you use WordPress.org as your content management solution, then you have a ton of free themes that are available to you to get started on, and you don't need to pay a penny for it. Some of the best free themes include OceanWP, Astra, as well as Hestia. And when it comes to paid themes, two of my favorites are Divi as well as Genesis. The great thing about these themes is that not only do they look fantastic on a desktop, they also look great on a mobile phone or on a tablet, which means that all of your users are going to have a similar streamlined experience when they actually visit your blog. One other thing that you need to keep in mind when you're installing a theme and actually setting it up is your font type as well as your font size. Now, I can imagine you want to be really creative and have these cute fonts which are cursive, but those fonts are not really readable. When you pick a font, I would recommend that you look at sans serif fonts such as Lato, Roboto, Quicksand or Helvetica, which are easily identifiable as well as easy on the eyes to actually read your blog. The second thing to keep in mind is to have a font size which is at least 14 or above. The reason why I say this is because there are going to be a wide variety of users that are coming on your blog, not just people with perfect eyesight, but also people who might not have perfect eyesight and might want a little bit bigger font to enable them to read. Step number 5 is to create content that serves a need. Now, a common mistake that I see most amateur bloggers make is that they actually create content on what they want to share content on and not necessarily on content that actually has a demand and then serves a need for their audience. Now, when you're just starting out, chances are people are not really interested in your day-to-day life as much as they're interested in how you can be of use to them or how they can find the information on your blog helpful. This means that your job as a blogger is to identify what are the kind of content topics or ideas in your niche, which is something that you can help your readers with. The best way for you to find out what are the topics that are trending in your particular niche or what is there actually a demand for is to do something called keyword research. Now, you can use a free tool such as Keysearch and actually identify what is the kind of keyword volume or the number of people checking on that keyword every single month. The best keywords for you would be those that are high in keyword volume but low in competition. The reason why you want to find out keywords that have a high volume but low competition is because when you're just starting out, your website isn't as strong as other websites that have been around for years and years and have a lot more authority than your website. This means that when you're starting out, your best chance to actually rank on sites like Google is to make sure that you pick keyword ideas and topics which have a high demand but are not necessarily the most competitive ideas out there. Another place for you to come across keyword keyword ideas as well as content ideas for your blog is to just go on Pinterest and type in the main topics that you want to create content on. Now again, the more pins that you see and the more articles that you see linked to that particular topic, that indicates a higher amount of demand and a higher amount of need for that sort of information. Now it's perfectly natural for you to want to share your personal stories and experiences with your blog, and you can definitely do that. Just make sure that it's not the majority of your blog posts out there. You can probably create 1 in 10 blog posts which are personal and make sure the other 9 are actually keyword optimized and is content that people are looking for on a search engine. Now, once you've set up a blog, you have a design and a theme going for you, you've identified what ideas you want to write about, and you've created content, the next step is to drive traffic to your blog. Now, traffic is the lifeblood of an online business, and not just for online businesses. Think about your neighborhood coffee shop. If there were no customers that actually walk into the coffee shop, would that coffee shop ever become profitable? No. The same goes for blogs as well. The more people that actually know about your blog, visit your blog, and interact with your blog, the higher your chances of making money from that blog in the long run. Now, there are tons of ways in which you can drive traffic to your blog. The first way is to drive it through social media channels such as Facebook and Instagram. Now, when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, the platforms have been designed in a way that they enable users to stay within the platform, and it's really hard to have a high organic reach there without actually paying for ads to promote your blog. So the way that these platforms have been built aren't really enabled to promote blog articles, and this is why even if you do have a Facebook page or an Instagram page, it is unlikely that it will bring you a lot of traffic unless you have a large amount of following there already. The second way and the main method for driving traffic to your blog is going to be through search engines. Now, the most common search engine that you probably know about is Google. Now, not only is Google the largest search engine in the world, but it's also extremely competitive. It might take you anywhere between 6 to 12 months to actually rank on Google because you have to outrank and compete with tons of blogs out there that are already holding a spot on Google search results. The second search engine that you're currently on is YouTube. This is also a place where people go to look for information and find tutorials and content pertaining to a problem that they have. Now, YouTube is an excellent place to also drive traffic back to your blog. However, you do need to take that first step to actually start creating videos and putting them online. That in itself can be a big step for people who either don't have the time or really don't like being on video. If that is the case, then you would like the last search engine that I have in mind, which is Pinterest. Now, most people think that Pinterest is actually a social media platform when it is not. It is in some ways a social media platform where you can see what other users are up to and really go and follow each other, etc. However, it is primarily a search engine, which means that people are consistently looking for articles as well as useful content out there. The great thing about driving traffic from Pinterest is that you don't need a large following like you would on other social media platforms, and you also don't need to wait a year before you can rank, such as for example on Google. This means that there is an unlimited potential for you to tap in pretty much every niche out there when it comes to driving traffic to your blog using Pinterest. Tons of my students in my paid program, Pinterest Traffic Explosion, have been able to grow their page views to 10,000 views, 20,000 views and more, and have actually been able to monetize their blogs based off of the traffic from Pinterest. I have a pretty helpful Pinterest traffic masterclass that you can also check out in the description box below in case you're interested in learning how to use Pinterest as a traffic generation tool. One important tip that I do want to give you when it comes to driving traffic to your blog is to always master one platform before you move on to the next. So before you start optimizing for Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else, it is better to just focus on one platform which is going to bring you the best results. So instead of trying to master Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn all at the same time, it maybe makes more sense for you to take a step back, see what could bring you the most traffic, and then go all in and double down on that particular platform. And once you've mastered that platform, to move on to the next platform. So when I first started out, my main focus was on growing my platform via Google as well as via Pinterest. Today, I get over 100,000 page views to my blogs, and the majority of it actually comes from Pinterest. That gives me the liberty to now explore YouTube as well as other social media platforms, but that wasn't always my focus when I first started out. Step number 7 is to build an email list. Now, an email list is a group of people that not only care about what you do, but they like you so much that they actually give you their email address to stay in touch with them. Now, when you think about an email list, you want to think about a list of prospective customers as well as buyers who are interested in your niche as well as in what you have to say as an authority in your space. Now, most people don't pay a lot of attention to their email list, especially at the beginning, and I think that is a big mistake. Now, the reason why you want to have an email list is because a lot of visitors might actually just visit your blog once and never come back to it again. That is statistically the case because there are millions of blogs out there and billions of searches every single month. This means that each time someone actually joins an email list, it is a part of your tribe and someone that you can nurture and grow along with your blogging journey as well. When it comes to making money blogging, an email list can be a really great asset. The reason why an an email list can be extremely profitable is because you have a way to directly reach your audience in their inbox, which is as private as it gets. Not only can you use your email list to get more traffic back to your blog, but it is a great asset to have, especially if you want to be a profitable blogger who actually makes money blogging in the long run. It has been statistically proven that on average, each subscriber that you have makes an average about $1 per month. This means that if you have 1,000 email subscribers, you can actually make $1,000 a month. If you have 10,000 email subscribers, you can actually make $10,000 a month, and so on. Now, even if you're bad at math, that sounds like a good reason to start building an email list, right? Now, there are lots of free tools that you can use to build your email list. The first tool that I recommend is MailChimp, which I believe is free for up to 2,000 contacts and that you can actually use to kickstart your email marketing journey. The second tool that I recommend and use now is ConvertKit, which has a free plan of up to 500 subscribers and is hands down the easiest email tool that I've ever come across. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I actually turn the visitors of my blog into email subscribers? Now, in order to actually get people to subscribe to your email list, you need to give them something in exchange. Now, just offering people to sign up for your newsletter isn't enticing enough for someone to give away their email, especially in the age where we are now, where we can be spammed by a lot of people via email. So what you want to make sure is that you actually create a lead magnet, which is also known as an opt-in or a freebie, which is essentially a free download that you give to all of the subscribers of your blog, and is something that people can easily consume and actually adds value to their relationship with you. Now, it goes without saying that this freebie shouldn't be anything random, but should actually be relevant to your niche as well as to your audience, because that will ensure that they actually sign up to your email newsletter. In order to design this freebie, you can use a free tool like Canva that you can easily create and give away to your email list subscribers. So now that you've put in all the foundational work in place, it is time for you to start making money with your blog. Now, the next step is to start with affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing is essentially when you promote someone else's products or services and you get a small commission each time a visitor from your blog actually buys that product or service. Now, affiliate marketing can be a great place for you to start because you don't need to invest anything upfront and you can get started even if you just have 5 blog posts and you aren't necessarily an established expert in your space. The easiest place for you to start is by using Amazon Associates, because most people around the world actually use Amazon to make purchases anyway, and that can be a great and simple way for you to get started. All you need to do is to go into your Google bar and search for Amazon Associates program, and you will be led to the sign up form and the sign up process, and you can get started with that right away. Some other places for you to actually join are affiliate marketplace networks. Now, these networks essentially pool in a lot of different products and services for you to pick and choose from, and they take a certain commission from what you earn every month. Now, a couple of these platforms include Flex Offers, Rakuten Marketing, Share a Sale, as well as CJ Affiliates. Now, of course, you can also find specific affiliate platforms in your niche. All you have to do is Google your niche along with affiliate marketing programs, and you will have access to a list of them. Now, affiliate marketing is a form of monetization that I don't think you need to wait to start. You can actually get started on it right from the beginning, with the easiest one being Amazon Associates, and keep adding more and more platforms as you create more and more content. The reason why I recommend that you start with affiliate marketing is that it is a very passive way of making money online. So even though your traffic might not be a lot at the beginning and you might not get a lot of commissions from affiliate marketing at the beginning, over time as you grow your blog, as a function of that, you will have more and more affiliate commissions and you never stop earning them. So once you've put the affiliate links in your blog posts, they work for you over and over again as long as you're a part of that affiliate marketing platform, and that means you generate passive income without putting in any additional effort in the long run. The next step is to join ad networks as well as look for sponsorships. Now, ad revenue as well as sponsorship revenue is heavily dependent on how much traffic you have, because if your audience is very small or non-existent, it's going to be hard for you to make any money using these methods. While joining an ad network is a much more passive way of making money with your blog, sponsorships are definitely a much more active approach, because you actually need to pitch to certain brands and companies in order to get them to sponsor either a blog post or maybe some kind of space on your blog. Now, the best place for you to start is with Google AdSense. So once you have a couple of thousand page views a month and you have at least 20 to 30 blog posts, you can look at monetizing it with Google AdSense. Now, keep in mind that ad revenue is a direct function of the traffic that you have. So the more traffic that you have, the more money you will be able to make through ads. When it comes to finding sponsors, you can look at networks such as Izia, TapInfluence, etc., which give bloggers around the world opportunities to monetize the content on their blog. The amount of money that you make through ads or sponsorships is going to come down to 3 simple things. The first thing is traffic. So the more traffic you have, the more money you make. The second thing is what your niche is all about. So if you're in certain niches, you will probably make more money through ads and sponsorships compared to other niches. For example, if you are in the personal finance space, you will probably make more money through ads than you would if you are in the gardening space. And last but not the least, it also matters where your audience is from, because certain countries spend more money on advertising as well as sponsorships compared to other countries. countries. So if your audience is based in a developed country, you're likely to get more opportunities for sponsorships as well as make more money through ad networks versus if your audience is in developing countries. Now, once your audience grows and you have more than 10,000 page views a month, you can look at more premium ad networks such as Ezoic, Monometric, MediaVine, or AdThrive, depending on which stage of your traffic journey you're at. Now, once you've explored affiliate marketing, ad networks, as well as sponsorships for your blog, the next step is to actually create digital products and services. When you look at bloggers who make the most money blogging, you will see that there's a common trend amongst all of them. Most, if not all of them, offer some kind of digital products and services, which helps them not only to build a wider audience, but to also establish expertise in their particular niche. Now, when it comes to digital products, they're essentially products that you can consume virtually. Now, there are tons of digital products that you can create and sell. Now, one digital product that you've probably already consumed is an ebook, which is essentially a downloadable book, such as a Kindle download, which you can read on the go from anywhere at any time. Other digital products include things like printables, workbooks, or even spreadsheets, which help your audience with a specific problem. You can also create and sell design templates if that is something that you're good at. You can also think of creating online classes, workshops, as well as online courses. The reason why digital products are so lucrative is because you only have to make them once and then you can sell them over and over again, which is a passive income dream. This means that even though you put up the effort upfront, you can actually continue to sell that product through your website over and over again. When I first started with digital products, I started with an ebook in the travel space, which I sold to my email list on my blog as well as the visitors on my blog. That led me to create other digital products, and now I actually sell multiple digital products across my 2 blogs, and that is one of the most profitable ways for me to make money online. The second option, which is digital services, include any kind of services that you can conduct digitally. So this could include services such as virtual assistants, social media content creation, coaching, mentoring, consulting. Now, of course, digital services are an active source of income where you do exchange your hours for money, but it can be a great way for you to get a quick start into making money online, especially with your blog, especially at the beginning. When it comes to making money blogging, I do recommend to start with affiliate marketing, move on to ads and sponsorships, and then explore digital products and services. So that's it, you guys, from me on this video. I would love it if you would take a second to hit like and let me know in the comments how far or where you are in your blogging journey and how it's been going with you. Make sure to hit subscribe to the channel for more videos on how to grow your audience, income, and impact online. I'll see you in the next one.